President Cyril Ramaphosa will be checking on progress at the Tshwane Automotive Special Economic Zone today. Now, it's been 14 months since the 3.4 billion rand project was launched. The joint initiative between government and the Ford Motor Company will see the first automotive incubation center in the country. We understand that the president has arrived at that plant. Let's just take a listen and a look at what is happening there at the moment.
Yes, I am. Delighted to be here. Thank you. Thank you. It's a very good time.
We're planning that he will get another house here. I've been looking.
I'm delighted to hear that.
The mayor.
Of course, the mayor. How are you? How are you, my mayor?
I'm fine, thank you.
I'm also your resident here.
Yes.
Huh?
Oh, yes, I'm aware of that. You're the number one resident. I'm just the first citizen.
You're just the first citizen.
He just makes sure you have water and electricity.
Yeah, good to see you.
We're going that way.
We're going that way. Very well. I'm good. I'm glad to see you. Hey, look who's here. This is the man I've been hunting down. I've been looking for you.
You kept telling us implementation. And then you said you want to have an on-site inspection.
Yes.
So we've arranged that, and we're going to have a very short presentation.
All right, a bit difficult to sort of figure out who's there with all the masks on, but we do understand the Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, that's Ibrahim Patel, is also with the President, accompanied also by the Premier of Gauteng, that's David Makura as well. They are receiving an update on progress on construction work at this particular site. Let's just remind you what some of the key purposes are of this particular site is to develop infrastructure required to support the development of targeted industrial activities. It's meant to attract foreign and domestic direct investment, increase investment and growth in the manufacturing industry, particularly the automotive manufacturing industry. It is also born out of a public-private partnership project that brings together three spheres of government, and like we said, Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, the Gauteng provincial government, and of course the city of Tshwane with Ford Motor Company Southern Africa. So the president visiting that site, checking on progress there and just tracking progress at the economic zone. And it's about 14 months since the sod turning there, kickstarting the 3.4 billion rand joint venture there. So we'll find out a little bit later. Our reporter Heidi Giokos is also on this trip, on this visit there with the president. Let's take a look at listen to what's happening there at the moment.
The relationship between government and private sector will be cemented going forward. This is the home of what is effectively the largest FDI component in the country as we speak. But I'm sure Andrea will speak to that when his turn comes later on today. Thirdly, from a social economic impact point of view, we are happy that we have members of the community project committee here. We have got 8,000 jobs that will be created during the construction only. And that's only in terms of phase 1 and 1A. Before we get to phase 2 and 3, those figures will become available at the appropriate time. From an economic point of view, the project itself is committing to 45% of spend on SMMEs, primarily from this region of Tshwane and Mamelodi. And that 45% amounts to no less than 1.5 billion rand that will be retained in the local economy of Tshwane, and particularly among SMMEs that will be contracted to the main contractors here. We have already contracted 22 of those SMMEs, and we'll be going up to 220 packages over the next couple of months. In terms of key risks, rain, as you can see, is an interesting challenge.
It's a blessing.
It's a great blessing until you are in the mud and you are not able to do what you are supposed to do. So I think rain is the key one. The second one, obviously, the supply of steel, structural steel, because in the last few months, due to COVID, we have had a shutdown of the smelters and the furnaces in many of the suppliers. And as they restart, we are in the back of the queue. as TASES, because there are other projects that were already there that were stopped, and we are trying to make sure that we address that with all key players, including ArcelorMittal, with whom we have met recently to discuss these issues. I think the regulatory environment, primarily from a city approvals point of view, to expedite the approvals that we require is going to be another key challenge, but we are moving and working with the city in that regard to make sure that it doesn't impact adversely. I've done my part on the construction side technically in terms of progress from when you were last year, just over a year ago, to now. I will ask Kelly to address that, and we will chip in as it becomes necessary. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Excellency, President. Thank you very much for being with us again today. We think back to the November 2019 when you came to turn the sod. And I think maybe just to introduce, we're at that red dot at the moment. We're on the Ford frame site. When you came the last time, it was along this road here, and you'll remember that that's where the sod clearing happened. And we can see that from that time, which the site consisted of bush, we now have 200,000 cubic meters of earthworks which have been done. Absolutely. Yeah. We now have 200,000 cubic meters of earthworks. We have some major retaining walls which are up. And I think it's a great tribute to TASES and Kocha working together as state-owned enterprises which are assisting government to deliver and to implement. And I think that that's what we're here for, that's what we're all about, and that's what we're certainly doing. I'd like to just take you through a little bit of what you see at the moment. The design on this started, Your Excellency, as you would remember, at the beginning of COVID, where we executed much of the design electronically, remotely, to drive that, and we actually didn't lose any time through COVID. We got the design done. We moved into detailed design here in June and started August construction in August. So what you see in terms of 240,000 cubic meters, square meters of building design, and 200,000 cubic meters of earthworks here at the moment has happened in just 6 months. So it has been a bit of a push. And I think we're very cognizant of the fact that this is the biggest thing in Gauteng in the last 10 years since apartheid. So we're very pleased to be part of it. The timelines, Your Excellency, are tight. We have to deliver. Obviously, the Ford timelines are critical to us. We understand the kickoff date for the Ford 2022 program, and we need to meet that. And we are pushing hard to do that at the moment. We've had a number of challenges on the site. I think the materials, the soils that we have here have been a challenge. They have not been good. We've had to come up with geotech solutions for them, and we've been able to overcome that deep clays. We also have a challenge in terms of materials in South Africa at the moment, structural steel shortages, which we are currently dealing with the associations concerned. But I think we're committed. In terms of the timeline, we're using an agile project management methodology espoused by the Project Management Institute to deliver unconventionally. We've had to use unconventional logic on this project, but I think Your Excellency, it's paid off. Essentially, just very briefly, we have two phases to the project. We have phase one, which is what we're on at the moment, and we are at the red dot. That is accommodating 6 investors, actually 7, with Thai Summit who are building their own factory. But the ones that we are doing are Sodacia, the Ford frame site, which is where we're standing at the moment, Hesto harnesses, Aerocross Dace, and Automold at the bottom, being the 6 that we are building. I think what is significant about Ford frame and Sodacia is we've accelerated the work. We are standing here at the moment, and this area here is actually the e-coating section where we need to give beneficial occupation by the end of April, or actually the 12th of April, for the installation of equipment. And Your Excellency, if you look just to your left, to my right, you'll see a retaining wall going up. That is the first portion of reinforced concrete structure related to the e-coating section, which is already in progress of going up. And we are driving at meeting that date for Ford. The second one across is up in Sodacia, where we are at the moment doing the major conveyor trench through the site, which again has to meet very stringent timelines for the top structure, and we are driving that one. There are a number of investors who could not be accommodated in phase 1, and as a result of it, we had to open up what we call phase 1A, which is part of a future phase 3. But it was expedited and acquired from private sector, the land, into city of Tshwane. And as you drove in, Your Excellency, you would have seen it on the right-hand side of Albane Road, an area which has been cleared and is currently in construction. I think just taking you through some of the drawings very briefly. If we take Sedacia at the top, this is the type of fabric that we're looking at in Sedacia. It is quite a big factory. It has a high bay related to it, which is really a technological challenge. It has major cranes in it. It has a 2,000-ton press, also a 2,500-ton press to press body parts, and it is a bit of a challenge, that factory. Going across to the extreme right-hand side, Your Excellency, behind Duren is the Ford frame site, and you will notice that it's been built in segments in such a way that we can expedite the beneficial occupation of equipment installation as soon as possible. This segment in the middle here is the e-coating segment, and we will be standing probably around about there now, which is equivalent to the red dot that we have on the screen. So again, it's been a segmental approach to actually get happening as quickly as possible. Hesto Harnesses is this factory here. They'll be doing the harnesses on the plant. We then have Aerocross Dace and Automold being the lower two projects which are happening here. Aerocross Dace producing trim and body liners, and Automold doing your Automold injection of plastic parts. And then across here, very importantly, we have Feltex, the Feltex plant, which is down here. Also quite a big plant which is happening. They produce all of your internal body trim and linings, etc. for vehicles. Croatia Tenico, exhausts and pump.
All right, that's President Cyril Ramaphosa there, together with Minister Ibrahim Patel and Premier David Makura. They are visiting the Tshwane Automotive Special Economic Zone construction site, just looking at progress there. And we also understand Ford announcing an investment of 15.8 billion rand in the Silverton assembly plant and vendor tooling for the supply facilities during this visit as well. It's supposed to be the biggest investment in Ford's South African history and one of the all-time largest investments to date in the South African automotive industry, expected to create thousands of jobs. We will continue to bring you an update on that story. Heidi Giokos is tracking that one for us, and a little later on in the day we'll get the full picture. But let's